Hi, I'm Debbie from Jewell's Custom Quilting. Today we're going to talk about baby mats of the 2020s. First off, nothing I share here is new. I believe that all quilters share a love of family, preserving the past, and thinking about the message that's within their project. While quilters are working on their quilts, they spend so much time contemplating the story behind the fabric, the story behind the patterns they chose, and the symbols and the meanings. You can look deeper into that to see what the history is of the quilt squares that you're drawn to, and that can maybe help connect you to the person that the quilt is for. You're also contemplating and thinking a lot about the person who's going to receive your quilt or your project. Each quilting project has so many steps to it. First of all, you got to plan it. Then you have to pick your fabric and your pattern. Then you're cutting your fabric and you're piecing it all together. That's just the quilt top. Then you need to think about the backing fabric. What are you going to use? Is it going to show off the stitching that you're going to do? The batting that you're going to use in your layering. Do you want 100% cotton? Do you want bamboo cotton? Do you want something heavy? Is it going to be for the summertime? Do you need, for our project today, something more stiff that's going to be more of a mat and lay flat? You need to figure out, are you going to hand tie it? Are you going to hand stitch it? Are you going to long arm your project? And then there's the binding. Finding your fabric, making your binding, ironing it, sewing it to the front, flipping it around and hand sewing it to the back. There is at least 11 steps there with lots of detail in each of them, and I'm sure I'm missing something. Baby mats and baby trends. It's interesting to me how many baby trends will last for a year or two and then they're abandoned and they're the worst thing we could have done. Even with thousands of years of baby documented best practice, we still have someone's got a new idea or really a recycled idea that we've already done in the past and we're bringing it up again. When I was a baby, the babies of my generation, I was born in the early 60s, our mothers all read Dr. Spock. Dr. Spock's Baby and Child Care. That was considered the Bible of what our mothers could do, or what they needed to do to take care of us as babies, and the best practice. One of the things that moms were encouraged to do at the time was to feed us formula in sterilized baby bottles because it was so much better than breast milk. What does this have to do with the 2020s and quilting? Well, my family and extended family are having babies, making us grandparents. We are discovering new trends that we never would have guessed. The one trend that seems to be shocking to my generation, or that we have a lot of questions about, like, what? That's a thing? Really? Is the no blanket till one trend. Just trying to be creative in our gifting. We want to support our family as they are parenting their children. It was honestly hard for me to wrap my head around the concept of no baby blanket, no quilt, because that to me is a communication of safety, of warmth, of comfort. That's where the mat comes in. I realize that mats are versatile. They can be used during the day for changing, for tummy time. One of my adult children works at a child development center that takes care of children or infants 3 months old till 4 years old and prepares them for school. They have all kinds of activities during the day. There's also some downtime, and I wanted to be able to make some mats. I wanted these mats to be very durable, that they could be washed a lot and not fall apart. So we're going to be looking at the supplies and the steps that I used to make the mats that are behind me. and that I'm holding up right here. First of all, I was with a friend at a craft store, and they had a fabric section. We were looking through all of the sales tables and everything, and just wanted to see what they had that would like inspire us to think of a project or something new. And I really was going to the fabric store for a completely different reason. I saw this fabric and I just thought, this is adorable. Sounds like it's, you know, pretty current and popular right now to have woodland creatures or just animals. It's gender neutral. It's greens and yellows and browns with black. It's not pinks and blues. There is teal. There is a little bit of blue, kind of grayish blue, and some teal in here. I liked it because it was just, it could be used for any child, and I thought it had a lot of interest just because of all the animals. I sent a picture of this to my daughter. She liked it, and I bought the whole bolt. That's usually what I do, is I buy the whole bolt. Just to finish off the bolts that I've had for years, each of the quilts has a different backing. I think maybe I had enough backing for 2 quilts, and then the rest I think all have different fabric for the backing. But you really just want something that's cotton. You don't want flannel. Flannel is nice and cozy, warm. It's not gonna wash well. It's not gonna last. It's not gonna hold up to all the washing you need to do. This is 100% cotton. It washes well. So the backing is also 100%. The way that I did the binding for these quilts, these mats, is different than 99% of the time when I'm making bindings. I'm going to make my binding, sew it to the front, roll it over to the back, and sit and hand stitch in the evening and get that done. But these quilts, I wasn't gonna sit for I don't know how many evenings, 7 evenings in a row probably, to get all of these done. I don't have that kind of time. I also wanted to make sure that this was going to be a really sturdy binding. I really believe in, you know, nothing here in quilting is new. It's just following through and finishing your project is the big things. And I'm a big fan of Missouri Star Quilt Company. They have a great binding video. I'm going to put the link in the description below. I learned a different way of how to combine my binding when it comes all the way and back to the bottom, how to connect it to where it just looks like it's one continuous piece of fabric. And I can't believe it's taken me this long to figure it out or find the video and have the courage to just go ahead and try it, because it looks really great. This is my fabric that I used for the binding on the mats. She instructs 2.5-inch width strips, and I do 3.5. Just like a little bit wider. It's not much, but I just like a little bit wider binding. She shows you how to miter your pieces, sew it at an angle, unfold it, cut off your fabric, iron it in half, and then it's ready to go. How to bind a quilt on a sewing machine with Jenny Doan of Missouri Star Quilt Company. I will also put the link in my description below. When you're normally making a binding, you're going to be sewing your binding to the front, flipping it to the back, and then hand stitching it down. For this technique, you are machine sewing your binding to the back, flipping it over so that you have your folded edge on the front, and then you're going to be pinning it down and zigzagging. Or what I did, I don't know what this stitch is called. It's a 3-stitch zigzag, so it's boom, 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 and it just keeps going. The biggest challenge I had for this, my plate feet. That's what's supposed to be moving my fabric through. And I'm just supposed to be holding and guiding the fabric to make it as straight as possible. my tendency was to continue to pull the fabric and guide it, and then my zigzags were not even. They were all bunched up or they were all spread out, and I just thought, I can't do this. Maybe I should just go ahead and hand sew it. But I practiced, and by the fourth quilt out of the 7, I finally just relaxed enough to where I would let the machine move the quilt. And I really was just guiding it, and it turned out so much better when I kind of just relaxed and let the machine do its thing. I ended up taking out the stitches of the other first three quilts. In her videos, she's showing you how to miter. These turned out as well, just as well as they would have if I would have done the binding my traditional way. For all of the quilts that I make, I usually choose 100% cotton. I want a medium to heavy weight, because when they're folded, when your quilt is finished and folded in fourths, I really like the weight that it has on you. If you're just watching TV and you take one of your full or queen size quilts and fold it in fourths, and it's just heavy on you, it feels kind of like a weighted blanket. I tell my grandkids it's like a hug. It's like something over you that's just kind of keeping you warm and keeping you calm and focused. I also like bamboo. I realized that bamboo batting is 50-50 cotton bamboo. That it's the combination, because the cotton helps the bamboo hold together when it gets washed. It's not going to clump up and fall apart inside your quilt. But bamboo batting is amazing. If you're not sure where to get it, I usually save my coupons, get packages. Usually I buy the king size because I could use that for several quilts. I also buy it in bolts because I just do that much quilting. I would never use this kind of batting, but I did for this. My neighbor gave me 3 rolls, and it's called HTC Fusible Fleece. It's 100% polyester. You never in quilts, in your quilting, want to use the lofty white polyester fluffy stuff. You don't want to use that. Cotton or bamboo cotton. But for this project, this is stiffer. It comes in a roll. It's 45 inches, so it's the perfect width, and 15 yards is considered a full-size bolt, and so that's what I'm using. It does have a fold. I thought, gosh, that's probably going to show through in the quilting, and it really doesn't. So I was glad about that. It does wash up well. I think you need to be careful about the dryer. You don't want it to take up or get too stiff. So either air fluff it or hang it dry. But it's really great for those panels that you find with the roads for your cars, at airport with runways and hangers for, the kids' planes that they would want to that they can play with. And I just like the way for the mats that this lays flat and really looks like a mat. So that's the batting, and I will also put a link of where I found this, but you can also find this at any craft store that has a fabric section or your local fabric store. This is my favorite part of the whole quilting project, is your stitching. If you want to go ahead and do a grid on your sewing machine, that's great. If you have a long arm person that quilts for you or that's in your area, that's what I chose to do because I really enjoy it. I take in people's quilts in our area. It's fun. There's a lot of creativity. I found a stitch designer that I really like. She has worked with me over the years. I think I've been getting my stitch designs from her since about 2007. So that's a bit of time. When we've got a special project and we're asking for a certain design, our stitch designer quickly comes up with the perfect thing. And we've been so thankful that she's even been willing to even try, and we have loved everything she's put together. Even buying stitches, they're usually $10 to $15. I reuse them so many times, it's worth it to me to buy a new design, and I can get it quickly over the internet and download it onto my machine. It is sweetdreamstudio.com. I'll put their link below. Kim Diamond is the owner there. She runs Sweet Dream Studios. There is a lot of designers. I just like Sweet Dream Studios. I've just found everything I've needed through her catalogs and what she offers. Everything that I used except for one pattern belongs to Sweet Dream Studio. I'm going to go ahead and show you. If you can see, this is the circus elephants. There's not circus elephants on the pattern, but you know what? I just liked the stitch, and it's a pano, and I put it in gray. For all of these patterns, I will also have the link that you can click on and go straight to the Sweet Dream Studio webpage. The next one is from Kim Diamond Studio. I did this in a light blue. No, this is the no, this is blue. This was blue. And can you see the fish? This pattern that Kim has is called Bluefish Pano 002. I just loved it. I thought, you know, if the kids at their development center, you know, if they didn't use this side, they can turn it around and count all the fish. Here is another one. Here in Portland, chickens are a thing. I'm in Portland, Oregon. We have chickens in town, and you can have chickens or get a permit to have chickens. I have kids, adult kids who have chickens, and this design is called Right Into the Sunset 4. It's a chicken farm. I don't know why it's Right Into the Sunset. That must be part of a series, because it's just chickens, you know, and the little baby chicks and the fence. And it just is a repeat, and I did this in bright orange. It also pops on the backing fabric. This one is Bumble Bees in the Heritage Collection with Sweet Dream Studios, and it is Bumble Bees. Bright yellow. This is a bright yellow, but when you're just looking at the thread, it's not so overwhelming. During our vid season, my husband has decided to take up beekeeping in our backyard. We have a large backyard. We've had 2 swarms, and at the end of the season, they've either died or swarmed away. We're getting ready to get our 3rd swarm for the spring, summer, fall. Anyways, I just love this bee. This is special. Now, I don't know if there are any turtles in this fabric. Let's see. No, there's a frog. This is an example of what I'm talking about with Sweet Dream Studios. They have a classic curl. It's a great pattern. I use it a lot on my 1930s quilts. But my husband and I went for the first time, went to Hawaii 3 years ago. And I got a bunch of fabric, Hawaiian shirt, scrap fabric, big bag of it, and I brought it home. It was all just mismatched shapes. I loved the swirls because it made me think of the water. And then they have the sea turtles there. And I asked Kim if she and her staff could put together the classic curl but get the turtle in there too. And they did that. And they did it really quick. It's not like I was waiting a long time. I was impressed with how fast it went. I just love that she was open and willing and put this, you know, added the turtles in here. And so I just thought that would be another fun stitching pattern. And this is in teal. Okay. This was a little bolder on my backing fabric because I was running out of just kind of a, you know, natural color. But so I went with this. It's kind of a 30s reproduction yellow print, but I just loved the horses, and I think you can see that. This pattern is called Right Into the Sunset #5. Oh, so it is a series. The farm set and then the Right Into the Sunset #5. And then the last one that I have is not from Kim Diamond, and it came with my machine when I upgraded it. It is called Dragonfly Edge to Edge Database, ID 17297, and it came with my Creative Studios stitching programming. But I just loved the dragonflies. I think I don't know if you can see them, but they're circles. They're more round, more of a abstract dragonfly. Here's one upside down. But I just loved that, and I did that in a seafoam green stitching. It really matches. You know, you can see that things are stitched down here, but on the back it just is, that's where you can see the stitching, and I thought that might be fun for the kids. The biggest thing is starting your project, doing the steps, finding someone to encourage you when you're stuck, figuring out the answers on how to solve the problems. For me, the biggest problem was the binding. I wanted to be able to stitch the binding on the front and not do hand sewing on this because I just really felt like it was going to wash well, wash better, be more durable for the Child Development Center that they're going to. Those are my mats. And I actually enjoyed this project. It took longer than I expected. But as I was making this, again, quilters spend time thinking about the people who are going to be receiving this and using these, your quilts, your projects. And I really enjoyed that, and I hope they do enjoy it. So, quilting it done with Debbie.